They say you should never meet your heroes. It'll either be awkward or they'll just let you down. But I say, bugger that. Hi, I'm Matt Stewart, and in this series, I'm going to be meeting some of my childhood idols, including musicians, comedians, and sports people. For this episode, I sat down with legendary frontman of bands such as TISM, the DC3, Root, and Damian Cowell's Disco Machine. It is, of course, Damian Cowell. Thank you so much for joining me, Damian Cowell.
No worries, Matt.
Hey, you're one of my heroes. Don't know why I made that so awkward. I apologise.
No. It's we all have our little blind spots, and this is one of yours.
Loved your bands, all of them. So many bands. You're a very prolific guy. Probably most famous for TISM, but you've now released, I think, the same amount of albums post-TISM as you did with TISM.
That's right, in half the time.
Yeah. Once you get rid of the dead weight.
Exactly, exactly.
A lot more efficient.
That's right, no arguments, yep.
And I first remember TISM when I was at primary school, and the kids would all be singing Never Gonna Be an Old Man, He'll Never Be an Old Man River. It's very catchy. I don't think we knew what it meant. I don't think we realised the layers that were at play. We just thought it was funny that it was a song about a dead guy and drugs, which I wouldn't have understood, but didn't realise it was a comment on fame and celebrity and whatever. But
no, I don't think TISM did either. I often thought that that song snuck into massive popularity because a lot of people kind of liked it for reasons that were never intended by the creators of the song. Right. It was a song. And I'm sure that's why it appealed to the people programming Triple J as well. It was a naughty song about naughty drugs.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get a band further removed from naughty songs about naughty drugs than that band. And I often thought it was very similar to that song by Queens of the Stone Age.
Feel Good Hit of the Summer.
Yeah, that one, right? And except that one is a naughty song about naughty drugs, and has always shat me for that very reason. It's that enduring appeal of, and in his interviews, he's got a bit of that sort of fucking chuckle away, naughty drugs. So, and yet that, I'm sure that was a huge part of the appeal of that song, was that aspect, and yet it was so far from the truth. And clearly we had the wrong end of the stick. We were the ones who were totally wrong about that, because that's what everybody wants. You want your rebellious rock star to be rebellious in the following ways.
Stay between these rebellion lines.
That's right. So that kind of thing always repulsed us. We thought that true rebellion, in fact, true rebellion is actually really fucking annoying. Nobody wants a real rebel. A real rebel is the kid when you're in Year 9 English and you're trying to do group work. It's that one kid who just spitballs the entire time. He's the fucking rebel, and everyone else hates him and has to do his work for him. And the teacher humours him because there's some sort of trouble in the home and so forth. But they all fucking hate his guts. That's what your real rebel is. Nobody wants that.
Well, I think that's what you're talking about with the rock stars. That's what they want to read. They want to read Keith Richards.
Yeah, I know.
Anthony
that's right.
Kiedis and all that, and people I've got friends who talk. Have you read it? It was he lived a wild life. You hear it all the time.
Great. I suppose maybe it's because we want someone else to act out our stupid fantasies, and so it's great to read about it. But I think it's rare that there's anyone who does it in a way that's, I don't know, humorous enough for me to really like it. So
it's probably one of the few jobs that you can do where it's even possible. Everyone else has to rock up on Monday. You can't live that life. Yeah. And even you as a rock star, you never gave up your day job.
Oh no. And your use of the term rock star there, Matt, is fabulous.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Yeah, is indeed, yes. Nothing rock starish about turning up for work on a Monday after a weekend of doing a gig. But that was great. Great for the equilibrium, I suppose. Not that I saw it that way or continue to see it that way. It's the bane of my fucking existence having to go to a day job. But I imagine there's a lot more people doing it now in the world of entertainment. But for me, it was just it was never a question about it. It was always part of my. I look upon people who are former people in bands, who are living on the poverty line, and I think, fuck, thank Christ that didn't happen to me,
Right.
So
there's never even a question in your mind when at the heights?
Yeah, no, well, I guess by that stage it was kind of was catch-22, because a band that all has day jobs has less flexibility to make money. And the problem with a lot of bands, I suppose, is they forget that original, what it was all about in the first place, and then it just becomes, we have to do this show because we have to sell this album because we and we have to sell this album so we can do this show and pay for this, and then we get in that magazine, and it's all just one sort of thing to the next, really.
So it sounds like you just regret ever starting.
Absolutely, yeah. If only I was, Justin Peckett and played for St Kilda. No, but
well, you a big Saints fan like me?
Yes.
I did speak to Frankie Peckett for this show, my all-time favourite footballer, Saints 252 gamer, and he's a big TISM fan. He said he'd get to all your gigs around Melbourne, and then he heard from someone in the marketing team or someone at the club that you were coming to do a film clip for Greg the Stop Sign, and he's like, how can I be involved?
So he volunteered?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's one of my proudest moments, which says a little bit about my career maybe, but so I was thrilled. I was over the moon because TISM, one of my favourite bands. I go and see them all the time. So they said, well, do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he said to say hello, by the way. It was during a training session, and they only allowed them to go in for the minimum time. And who would have been the coach at the time? Was it Kenny Sheldon? No.
No.
It would have been Stan Alves.
Yeah.
And apparently Stan Alves said, you can do that short amount of time and you're back on the track. And he was shattered. He wanted to hang around and see the rest. Do you have many memories of
no, Matt. Well,
filming?
It's yet another in the long list of TISM film clips that I was mainly not in attendance at. So just by circumstance, but maybe by intention, I don't know. This is the sort of band that you can actually not attend a film clip and get away with it. And so I do actually make a cameo appearance. I'm standing in the boot room in the middle section of the song.
Yeah.
So I did actually turn up, but I wasn't actually...
Is that under the misspelt?
Yes, your. The word your.
Your, they've got your. You reckon you spell check before you do a mural in a football
club? No, yeah.
It was a different time, I guess.
It was, yeah. But,
so you weren't even on the ground part with the rest of it? There was a stand-in?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I got nothing for you there, Matt. It's
that's a scoop for me.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it, that the film clip that it should have been some incredible emotional coming together of my two worlds, but wasn't like that at all. I was a lot of the film clips were done during the day, and for whatever reason,
you had work.
I was at work, and it's like pick your battles, pick when you can afford to take time off, and pick a film clip film clips are so fucking boring. Christ, they're boring. It's like all day while the nobody appears to be doing anything. I don't know if that's what it's like now, but certainly back then, while the crew are sort of adjusting the dolly by 0.5 centimetre or something, and you're just going...
Yeah, that sounds like every shoot for anything.
Yeah.
Not this. This is all go.
No,
bang, bang, bang. Not a lot of sitting around here. A lot of people behind the scenes, obviously. You can't see, but yeah,
Yep.
Quite a team. I find that interesting. That like Frankie Peckett jumped at the opportunity to be in your film clip when you didn't.
He should have been in the band.
Yeah.
Would have been more enthusiastic. Yeah.
Especially because it's like you said, it's the combining of two of your loves. Assuming you love TISM, it was the combining of two of my loves, plus throwing Moorabbin, where like my hometown.
Yes.
It's a pretty amazing. So I feel like I support TISM like they're a footy team as well.
Yeah,
Only
there was
they
a lot of that.
never lose.
Yes.
That's the good thing about it.
Arguably, or they always lose. But in a sort of way that gives you certainty.
So I don't like. I think you will get musically, critically acclaimed all the way to the end. That album, people like the critics were loving. It was almost like, and this was really I was only lucky enough to be a proper fan from De Rigor Mortis. It was the first album I bought when it was current, and then I sort of went backwards from there. So I got the last two albums and the best of tour as well. So I think I got to squeeze in 5 live shows in the last 4 or 5 years, which was kind of cool, including a secret show at the Tote where you play. You played a reverse order on what the lineup was going to be. You were the secret support acts.
Yeah. They were always heaps of fun. Those
I think that was my favourite of them all. And I went to some pretty iconic ones. I went to the Save Our TISM, which became the DVD. But yeah, I think the Tote one was the favourite one.
Yeah, there were quite a few that were great. Those sort of little ones where there was the Punters Club one where it was closing. They were like we knew that the Punters Club was closing. I think it was sort of doing its last runs of shows before the ownership went to somebody else, and so whether that kind of helped our sense of abandon, I don't know. But we had the air conditioning pulled out, and and with all these insulation bats, and the next day we were playing in Perth, and everybody was itching like mad. Everyone in the band and the crew,
The fiberglass
probably all got
from the
all got some terrible disease as a result of that. But yeah,
asbestos.
Yeah.
Great. It's a ticking time bomb now. Wow. So yeah, that is interesting. It just sort of just happened. In my head, for some reason, like you fill in the blanks. When there's no information, your brain, without even thinking about it, I didn't even realise I jumped to the conclusion that
it's
it was
kind
a choreographed finish.
Yeah, no, nothing. So much of what happened in that band was extremely prosaic, and thereby I'm ruining the mystery and allure of it by saying that. But yeah, the number of decisions, and I reckon that sort of happens in a lot of so-called creative processes, and we, the audience, love to put this, imagine this special creative mindset that guides the process through, but a lot of it is just fucking George Michael going, "Last Christmas, I gave you my heart," and the very next day you gave it away. Now I reckon when if he'd said you threw it away, it would have made more sense, right? Because if I gave my heart to George and he gave it away, gave it to some other So now I'm in love with this person over here.
I haven't agreed to this.
No, that's right. So
what kind of, what
it doesn't make any
Boxing
sense.
Day that would be.
Yeah, exactly.
You wake up
and the very next day as well, like, why the very next day? Like if I gave my heart to this person who didn't want it, they wouldn't sort of sleep on it, would they? They wouldn't go the next day, I'm not interested in this person, but I'm going to wait till tomorrow to decide that. Anyway, so
what kind of people was George Michael seeing?
I don't know, but yes, it's always really fucking annoyed me, that lyric.
What is it? It was 3 years after the White Album you released your first
Me album, yes.
album?
Root.
Root?
Yeah. Oh.
Where you sort of started escaping from the cocoon.
Yes.
You were
Yeah.
semi-disguised.
Yeah, that's right. It was trainer wheels, Matt. It was the hat and the
It was
and
alluding
the
to
cowboy
your name,
persona. Yeah,
DC.
and I sort of had to do it because I just couldn't. I couldn't sort of face the idea of coming out and sounding a bit or even a lot like TISM. And after Root was the DC3, which was sort of a transition phase between there and
With
today.
some members in common. from
Yeah,
the Roots?
that's right. Well, Henry was in it, and Doug. Yeah,
You know, from cowboys to businessmen.
yeah,
Basically.
that's right. Yeah, and then I think I was I think I was sort of pushing Henry and Doug, perhaps in a direction they didn't really want to go, which is back to beats and sort of funky bass lines and stuff. So they were very
Some sort of a disco machine.
Yeah. And also at that point I did a couple of shows at, I did the Comedy Festival and the Fringe Festival and did shows that were part monologue, which was an interesting experiment, and don't reckon I'll probably bother with it again, but it's great that I did it, and it was, sort of pretty fascinating experience to be part of that scene. But then I did a solo show, and that was a real eye-opener. Then it was like, I'm doing this show and then I'm packing up. I'm in this little change room at the back of the Forum, and then there's somebody else coming on after me, and they don't give a fuck about me, and they're just doing the same thing I'm doing. I didn't have anyone to go, oh, that was bad, or oh, that was good afterwards. It was just pack up, get in the car and go home.
The team game of being in a band, or
Yeah, it's an insulating thing, and you don't get that. And just even the insulation of having loud music as that's the bread over which your thin little scraping of Vegemite goes. You don't have that. You've got this is my Peck's fish paste, everyone. You're gonna love it. That's all you got, So it's I tip my hat to you, because I think it takes a lot of work, which I'm way too lazy to put in.
You shrunk your act down to just you on stage. Have you thought about how was it a reaction to that you've gone kind of in the exact opposite way, and you made it back to even bigger than TISM?
Yeah, it's 8 now. Yeah, it's a ridiculous move, really. I can't afford it. So, what made me do that? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. It wasn't sort of like I started out going, I'm going to have a big band here. But for some reason, it sort of grew into that. I started out with 2 drummers even, which was just pure indulgence, because I've always been fascinated by the idea of a band with 2 drummers, and you can't actually tell that there's 2 drummers.
Right. Because they're
sort of doing the same thing, yeah. But it's just it's sort of like, it's like an extra slice of toast when you don't really want it. It just sort of has that, I'm doing this because I can. So, it ballooned into a giant thing, which I guess is part of the appeal, because there's stuff going on at all times. But it wasn't necessarily, these are just people that I wanted to have in my band, and so it sort of grew and grew, and that includes Tony Martin, who I certainly didn't start out thinking that Tony was going to be in the band, but now he's absolutely essential part of it for me. So, yeah.
I think maybe the first time, was he on, I don't know which album it was on, but I saw you at the corner and he was on stage. And there were other I think Sean McAuliffe was there that night, and maybe Tim Rogers. I can't.
Yeah, Tim Rogers. Yep.
And he's pretty comfortable there. But I reckon out of all the cameos, Tony Martin was the one who just felt like he sort of exploded onto the stage. And
I think that might have been the turning point for me to go, maybe Tony would actually like to be in this band. but that's his style anyway. Like he doesn't, if he commits to doing something, he really puts, he does heaps of homework and thinks it through and all that. So yeah, he got himself a cosy organised. The others turned up, and you know, Tim. Look, I mean, it was fabulous that they turned up, and I'm not saying anything bad, but you know, they pretty much turned up and winged it.
Yeah.
As you would. So you know, Tim's got the words on the floor, and he came in from another gig somewhere, and we were all there beforehand going, is he going to even make it? You know, but Tony, yeah, he was right in there.
It's almost like maybe, who knows, I was about to do some sort of amateur psychoanalysis or something. So like it's the safety blanket of coolness, right? I'm not all
Yeah.
I'm not all in there. I'm just
Yeah.
coming here reading the lyrics.
Yeah, I think that's actually not incredibly far from a lot of people. A bit like Tim, you know. I reckon it's, I don't know, because I'm just so not like that I can only but imagine that it might perhaps be sort of a security blanket if you have this aura around you, like, you know, Pigpen in Charlie Brown, this sort of flopping aura of dirt around you that people kind of expect you to be wild and spontaneous and all that sort of thing. It maybe would be quite comforting after a while.
Yeah.
Although being spontaneous is pretty hard.
It's signifying to everyone, hey, I'm not doing that tonight. Look, I got the words here.
Yeah.
I'm being very unspontaneous.
Yeah, that's right. I
Does
don't
feel
know.
like that'd be you know, you talk about like you spent your first half of your career anonymous behind costumes, but there's the idea that rock stars are sort of doing that without covering their face. They're wearing the rock star costume, but everyone knows their face, so they can't stop.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they really like that, or is it all just a persona?
I don't know. I remember hearing one time that Nick Cave always gets up and puts on a suit because it's just what people expect of him.
Yeah, Tony and I have this thing about Nick Cave, which is that any situation you can imagine Nick Cave in that isn't on stage being Nick Cave is hilarious, you know.
Yeah.
So just go, right, Nick Cave at Woolies, hilarious.
Yeah, with
Nick
the basket,
Cave,
pushes the trolley. Yeah.
Nick Cave putting the bins out, hilarious. It just, even Nick Cave making a sandwich, you know, it's just impossible to, I just love that whole aspect. Like, another one I reckon is somebody like Brian Ferry, you know, Brian Ferry running for a bus, you know.
I don't know if Brian Ferry's run for a bus in a while, but it is a fun idea.
Yeah, it's just, people like that are fascinating, aren't they? But is that what they're really like? You know, it'd be fucking tiring.
Yeah, it
Jesus
would be.
Christ.
I guess that's the trap.
Mm.
But I don't know. Well, and as soon as if you let it go early, then it doesn't matter. But if you keep it up for a while, then you're trapped in
painting yourself into a corner. Yeah, I always have this theory about it fits with other people in non-musical people as well. I often think it about somebody like Andrew Bolt, that they're actually totally opposite to that, and they
occasionally feels some humanity.
Yeah,
he has to stifle it.
So they just sort of wheel out this persona, you know. So I like to imagine Nick Cave just sort of sitting on the couch with a beer, watching the footy and going, fuck, I've got to fucking put that fucking Opshot suit on again and start crapping on about fucking, what's his name, that French fucking singer that everyone goes on about? Oh, I don't know. Not, the guy who wrote Je t'aime, you know. I'm sure that's not the case. I'd love it to be, though, you know, that Nick's just like you
I
and
reckon
me.
that maybe there is some sort of, there's got to be some mix. I listened to a biography about Leonard Cohen recently, and
right. Well,
it's a similar sort of world, and I think he was aware of the reputation, and he always found it pretty ironic.
Yeah.
There's some line he said a few times about the irony of him being a famous ladies' man and more often than not being in bed alone or something. And
Yeah, I used to think about Radiohead. Like Radiohead, I could imagine them going along to rehearsal and whistling, having had a reasonable morning. The sun is shining, and your team won on the weekend or whatever, and then getting in the room and just sort of going, yeah, it would be very difficult. Maybe the reverse happens. People could say that of me, that my persona is always so sarcastic and cynical, that maybe I'm actually just this kind of romantic, sensitive guy who deeply supports causes and then just acts like he's an asshole. I don't know. Maybe that's true.
Is that true?
No.
Little scoop there. I had been asking on this show, and I think I've forgotten to ask tonight. So this show is about meeting my heroes. Did you have heroes growing up?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was completely taken by the pop music myth as a kid, for sure. They were, I suppose footy players were my idols, but I don't think so. I don't I think from a pretty early age, footy and soccer, which I also played, was sport and kind of great, and I was really into it and stuff, but I never elevated the people who played it to godlike status. But in the case of music, I certainly did. And I was clearly wrong to do that, because, a lot of people in bands are pretty much dumb. And but I just sort of had them as these kind of, that's the person I want to be like, universally, so brilliant and intelligent and incisive and universally respected for this cleverness, but the people I was, I suppose the Beatles was the first, and then I was, super hooked for probably about a year on Led Zeppelin, which has an enormous pull for a adolescent male, because of all that kind of, it's got all the totems really, it's the sort of heavy power of the music and the mysterious mysticism bullshit going on, but they just kind of had, and that whole thing about we are so fucking enormous that we're going to release an album and not put any writing on the cover whatsoever, but it's just going to fucking sell, like, that kind of enormity was just so impressive to a 13-year-old boy. So they were, they were clearly women-hating assholes and fuckwits, basically. But their music's still good.
Right.
I still like their music, but a lot of that idolisation dropped off over the years.
After about a year.
Yeah, in their case, yeah.
They say you should never meet your heroes. What do you think about that as an idea? Do you think that's good advice? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Well, you need to sort of have it figured out beforehand that exactly what sort of crappy pedestal you've got your hero on, because mostly people's shit stinks, and so if you've got that as part of your assessment of your hero, you've got a reasoned kind of impression of them, then you can probably withstand it. But otherwise, yeah, it's mainly disappointment. So on. Really, they're just human beings, and the reality of anything that's done in a showbizy way is so much more boring than the facade that we create.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm only hoping that you have formed an opinion of me which is based on my weaknesses as well as my strengths, and therefore I don't have far to fall.
Yeah, no, I think my hero, when I say heroes, I'm not talking about a screaming teenager at a Beatles concert. I understand humans are humans, so but I think I'm starting to think that that saying isn't actually your heroes will let you down. I think what the saying is actually about is you'll be disappointed with what you've said and you'll lie in bed awake going, I should have said something different. I wish I asked a different question. Why did I say that? I mucked that up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's true. I certainly, pretty much every collaborator that has been on my last couple of albums, I have a moment in bed at night where I go, oh, fuck. Why did I say that?
Isn't it? It's a weird human thing that, and I would say, my guess would be that on the other side of it, they're not thinking twice about whatever you're worried about.
That's right. No, exactly right. Yep, it's probably just a normal human reaction. So, but yeah, heroes are all just really, they're all just kind of creations of our own psyche. No one's a hero. Everybody's a hero. I'm starting to sound like one of those superannuation ads. We're all in this together.
It's a beautiful message to end on.
Yeah, it is. I think, if you're still watching, which is unlikely, now's the time to stop.
Thanks so much for tuning in. It was such an honour to have that chat. And if you want to see more of them, you can right here at Stupid Old Channel. They're available for your viewing pleasure. Why not also like and or subscribe? I'm not sure how that'll help you, and then if you hit that bell, it's another thing I've seen people say, something like that anyway. So is this kind of all you wanted me to say?
Yeah, that's it.
Could we do another take?